this webinar around love and relationships, but really it's like these things that I'm sharing, they're called the freedom keys, and they're freedom keys for a reason, because they're things that work for everything in our life, whether it's our love, relationships, our friendships, you know, our abundance, the ways that we attract money, the way that we deal with our emotions. And it's you know, it's something that I'm in the process of developing, so I'm really open to feedback, and I'd love to hear what works for you and what doesn't, and yeah, just really would love to encourage a conversation. So without further ado, I'm going to be introducing the Freedom Keys. And these are a really unique set of fundamental keys that I've discovered through my own process of radical self-discovery. You know, I really recognized really early in my life that something was off and missing in the way that most people are moving through life, the way that people were interacting with me or not interacting with me, and just really basic things that I felt like I should have been taught from a really young age. That was really surprising that I had to like do all of this self-reflection, like crazy work to be able to discover these incredibly simple things. So I'm going to be offering those to you today, and I promise that if you really take the time to integrate them into your life and to practice them, you know, this isn't anything that's going to happen automatically overnight, but these are really important things that if we start, you know, inviting into our lives as a way to move from, then all of a sudden everything begins to open, and you know, the blocks that were there start to dissolve, and the things that we didn't have start to appear, and it really makes, you know, life more of a magic carpet ride. And anytime that I'm not experiencing something that I want to be experiencing, you know, the very first thing that I do is I look within and I go, okay, so what is this teaching me? It's probably the biggest difference between, you know, the way that I work and the way that a lot of other people work is I'm just constantly curious about what I'm doing to create my own experience of life. And I know that this is something that all of us know, but putting it into practice can be a really different thing. So what I've found through my own journey is that these keys really do give us access to our own inner power. They're really great at stripping away limiting conditioning and belief systems, pointing to things that are out of alignment in our own systems, you know, teaching us how to healthfully manage our emotions and unwind core wounds and programming that we might not even be aware of. So we're going to be looking at some of the common ways that we block ourselves from creating healthy relationships with greater depths of love and ease and intimacy and magic. And I'm going to be giving you a little map that will point the way to how just one way to really truly get to where you want to be. So I think the most important thing to start with is, what is freedom actually? Like, what does it actually mean to live our life with freedom? You know, because I grew up in America, so, you know, freedom is something that I've heard so much about from being really little, except that I find that the conceptual aspects of freedom can often be skewed. You know, when we think about, you know, what freedom actually is, you know, we think that we're living our lives with it. We think that we're free. But the truth is that most of us are slaves to our own emotions, our biology, and our assumptions about the way that the world works, especially our belief systems and whatever's socially acceptable. So a little, like, I'm just going to share just a little bit about me and why you should be listening to me about this. Yeah, just because, you know, I've really gotten to this place where I'm looking around at my life and going, okay, so I've really gotten to this incredibly free place. So how did I get there, and how can I help other people get there also? Because this feels to me like it's so important. So yeah, so what I've uncovered in my introspective process of self-discovery, I really see it shaking people as I speak to them on a day-to-day basis. And these are my friends, my family, my clients, my lovers. And the common thing that I'm hearing most often is something along the lines of, like, who are you? Because what you're embodying is exactly what I needed to experience in one way or another. And I have to admit that it's pretty confusing for me to hear this so often, because I'm 29 years old and I still feel like a child on this path in so many ways. It's like the more I learn and the more I dive in, the more I uncover what I don't know. So I'm really coming at this from almost like a childlike, curious perspective. It's like, and these people that are giving me reflections, they're not random people off the street. We're talking about some of the most experienced, internationally known teachers in this field. And it's confusing to me because a lot of these things, they seem so basic, so much like common sense, and yet it's just not. So, that poem from Rumi that says, out beyond the ideas of right doing or wrong doing, there is a field? Well, these days, I'm living in that field, except it's not a meadow like I pictured. It's actually a vibrational, energetic field that really is beyond the way that I had been living my life before. Because, for much of my life, I didn't realize that I was actually drowning in it. I was drowning in my experience of life. Everything that I was experiencing was somehow impacting me and in an incredibly debilitating way. And I just didn't know it until I got this breath of fresh air that never went away. And I think that most of us who seek are actually looking for this. We call it awakening or a path to enlightenment. And before you go making assumptions or judging or creating stories, I am not saying that I am enlightened. What I'm saying is that I've tapped into something that has shown me so clearly how absurdly the mind works and how to move beyond it. It's really like one big aha moment that's lasted just about 2 years now. So why am I telling you this? Because I have to admit it's not comfortable for me to share like this. Despite appearances, I'm actually really shy. I like to hide. I don't like to be in the spotlight. But I'm really willing to push my levels of comfort and discomfort every day, because I know that when I'm uncomfortable, I'm growing. And it really was one of the greatest gifts that one of my teachers gave to me. He said offhandedly to me one day, "You're just attached to how you feel." And let me tell you, and just like take a minute to breathe that one in and look at it in your own life. You're just attached to how you feel. How many of us are so attached to how we're feeling and what we're experiencing that, it's like all of life just seems to like stop, or like, just get this like big like in the system, because we're attached in some way to how we feel. And, and a lot of times we hear in the New Age community that it's not good to be attached and la 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 la. But I'm actually finding that, there is really healthy attachment to life, and it's really more about just keeping all of these things in balance. So the attachment to how I feel, that was really one big aha that started unraveling everything for me right away.